What's up, fam? Welcome back to Cash Flow and Chill. If you're out here trying to build something big, your business, your freedom, your future, but you're overwhelmed trying to do it all by yourself, this is the episode for you. Today, we are talking about one of the biggest shifts I've made in my life and my businesses, and it's based on a book that changed everything for me, Who, Not How, by Dan Sullivan. And if you apply what we're talking about today, you'll stop wasting time, stop stressing over what you don't know, and start moving with clarity, speed, and support. Now let's get into it.
This will be a nice topic because I'm kind of going through that stage right now. So,
Perfect.
yes. And how are things for you today?
Going great. Just like I always say, I can't have a bad day.
Yes. I'm trying to learn the woo-saw. Kids are home for the summer though. So I really got to practice woo-saw.
Oh, yeah.
I've gotten way better from where I'm at. But we got a long way to go still.
Right. Hey, it's all about growth, one day at a time.
That's right. Yes. Yes.
Awesome. Have you ever read the book, The Who and How by Dan?
I have not. So now I'm going to add that to my list.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
It's a great one. It's a great one.
That is like kind of getting into mentorship and like having the right people around you. Is that kind of like, I guess, give us a rundown of the book in, I don't know, 60 seconds? Is that possible? 30 seconds?
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely. So yeah, the book really what it does is it really kind of reframes your mindset of I think there's a big misconception of when people get started and they think that, oh, I need to find every single detail. I need to perfect every single step. I need to make sure that I have all these things done before I can even get started. And it becomes so overwhelming that a lot of people don't even get started. So I think this book does a great job of kind of depicting why you want to find someone else and how it's more about the who and not the how.
Although we kind of know that I'm just willing to jump in and go without knowing a lot. But when I start getting overwhelmed, because now I've put myself in the position of what the hell is going on around me, like I don't know what to do, and then I get confused, and then it's so overwhelming that sometimes I will just be like, I'm not doing that right now. But if I just hire it out to deal with it, then I still don't have I don't have to worry about that. Or if I get a mentor to teach me certain things,
Exactly. Yep. So the two biggest things are hiring mentors and delegation. So just defining what kind of mentor you need based off of the problems in your business. And I think this episode is coming at a perfect time because a lot of the things that we're going to be talking about today are things that you've either just overcame, that you've just hired out, or that you're coming up on that season in your business where you're going to need to utilize one of these strategies. So I think it's perfect timing for you especially, but also for the viewers out there. I think it'll be a great time. And just so that you know that we practice what we preach around here. On the last episode, we were talking about how to get all these credit accounts for your business credit. And MJ just showed me what came in the mail. And do you want to share with our audience what came in the mail there for you?
I cannot believe. I don't know if Uline's average. I don't know how they get their leads. I think they watch YouTube videos, but Uline. And it came in the mail, and I was like, did they hear our podcast? Is Uline listening to us?
Right, sponsored by you.
But I'm going to go through this and see if I can't switch up some of the products and stuff that I buy to use Uline. That way I can get my net 30s and net 60s. Because I don't know if you guys heard on the last episode, but I was like taking notes and researching as Matt was going.
Yep, exactly. Implementation immediately. I love it. That's what it's all about. And that's why I really want to touch on this because I feel like you're such a good example is because there's so many people that wait till it's perfect or wait till they have everything figured out where you just kind of say yes and then go figure out how to do it. You're just a problem solver, you're a go-getter. So I think that's what happens to a lot of people is they get slowed down because let's face it, most of us, especially entrepreneurs, we're wired to ask like, how do I do this? How do I build a website? How do I run Facebook ads? How do I scale my business? But in that book, I mean, I really encourage everybody reading it or listening to it at least. But just like Dan Sullivan says in the book, I mean, asking how immediately slows you down. It forces you into doing things that you're really not good at. And that's the problem. That's the problem with doing all these tasks that don't serve us or don't serve our business, right? In my business, I could easily be going and doing a little $10 task, but it's so much easier to delegate that so I could focus on the high income skills that I have. to leverage that for my business. So I would actually be doing my business a disservice if I were to take on all those small, tedious tasks that could be easily hired out. And especially if
Yes.
you're trying to get your business bill ready, because when you're going over all these expensive, another thing that I see a lot of entrepreneurs do is they won't hire people. And then as soon as they get to the point where they're able to hire people because their income came up, now they're not charging enough. So now they have to raise their prices because when they first started the business, they didn't account for the assistant. They didn't account for the salesman and their commission. They didn't account for the accountant and the lawyer and all your core four, right? They didn't account for these things. So now where they thought they were a cash flowing business, now once they actually put those key players in position, now they're not making any money, right?
Right.
Because they didn't prepare first and they didn't allocate those funds. Now, whether you have someone to do it or not right at the gate, you still need to be budgeting and pricing accordingly so that you're pricing for your growth. So
Yeah.
hope that makes sense to everyone because it's something that a lot of people don't think about until it's too late. And now they're stuck in between, well, either I have to do the work cheaper or I have to raise my prices and possibly scare off, some of those new leads that I'm getting coming in. So just something to keep in mind. So if you have a business that needs a salesman, you need to be accounting for that commission right when you get started. Whether you're doing it yourself or not, just put that to the side because if it's cash flowing right now when you hire those people, it'll be cash flowing then as well. So just thinking ahead when it comes to business really saves you a lot of money.
Yeah, that's a perfect topic. I think I remember the night we sat down really late at night at my old house and we kind of went over billable hours. But that
Yep.
was, and I've kind of used that as we've grown, but I've made the mistake where I didn't budget in. It's there. I know the money's there, right? To do the accountant and all that stuff. But we did hire someone to kind of come into the business and teach us and kind of get all that stuff straightened out. But I think right now, and maybe I'm wrong, but I just said to Justin, I'm like, we're dipping into our pay a little bit as we kind of
Yeah.
get this going on the books and what we need to do. Things are going to be a little different here until we start getting more accounts. But it's what needs to be done. It's going to be a little painful. It's going to be, maybe I got to go back out there and clean for a couple of weeks. I don't know what we're going to like. It's not that bad. But in my brain, I'm like, ooh, they're going to come in and review our books and like comb through it and, you know, all that stuff. But yeah,
Yeah.
I guess I didn't really know how to budget all that kind of stuff in besides the billable hours. But when I was doing it, I was thinking, insurance and work comp and things of that nature. I never thought, you know,
Yeah. You got to write in your replacements income or you're never going to get out of the business because that's going to be the trap is, well, shit, if I leave right now, we can't afford to hire somebody else to do what I've been doing because you've been wearing too many hats. When you delegate early, you start to train yourself to understand what your business actually needs to function without you there and how much money it's going to cost to do so. So that's why it's so important to plan ahead. Again, you don't have to spend that money. You can put it in a side account and then go spend it on your business at the end of the year as a reward for being responsible. But you should definitely be operating with that plan. I'm just going to be 100% real and honest. When I read that inside the book, it hit me like a ton of bricks because that was literally my life. I was spending literally hours and hours learning tasks that I had no business doing, when I really should have just been focused on scaling and growing and leading. So, the question that I should have been asking instead of how to do this was, who can help me do this faster, better, and with less stress?
and not only that, but now the people that you do hire it's going to end up costing you more because they got to go back and correct and fix things. And then you're going to have to take longer to train because you didn't have everything all set up and you're wearing so many different hats. And I've gone through this. You're wearing so many different hats. You don't even know what to explain to that person to do, then you look, a little disorganized and kind of all over. But I read in this book, The Buy Back Your Time, about how you want to spend time make money making activities. If it's not making you money and it's not what you're good at, why are you doing it? Pass that off to someone else.
Exactly. 100% right. And those other little tedious tasks also lead to burnout, right? Because we're doing so many different people's jobs. Imagine if the Beatles, they showed up the day that they were going to do the concert and they built the stage, they did all the lighting, they did all the stage props, they wired up all the pyrotechnics and all this stuff and did all that. Imagine if they had to do all that and then go perform. How do you think that would affect their performance while they went out on stage?
Hmm.
They're concentrating on writing songs, doing the things that they're actually gifted at that nobody else can do. Nobody else can sing like them or write like them. But anybody can carry in something or help set up a stage or help with the lights. You can hire any kind of day laborer for that. So that's the same thing with our businesses. We have this unique skill set of being the leader, or the owner or the business owner, or the specific skill set that our business offers. That's our superpower. That's what we need to be concentrating on. And anything that is not serving that is something that needs to be delegated. And a lot of what people think is they're like, well, I can't afford to hire help. But I challenge you to rewire your mindset and say, I can't afford not to hire somebody, because now I am the bottleneck in my own business, so I'm preventing my own growth. So the very thing that I'm trying to actively and intentionally grow is now being inhibited by myself because I want to wear all those hats to save a couple bucks. And it's just not worth it. So I really wanted to hammer this home because, again, I was a victim to it until I really read this book and really got around the right people and the right network of individuals that were operating at a higher level. They kind of reframed my mindset. So it's just like, hey, I don't need to figure out anything. I just need to figure out who's doing this really, really well. All right. And then how much do I need to pay them to become friends with them so then they can tell me how to do it,
Right.
and show me, because I much rather learn about all the mistakes from someone that's already made them than to go make it on my own. Right. And if I have to pay you for that, hey, I have no problem. To me, it's a write-off anyway. But at the end of the day, those mentorships have really changed my entire life. The mentorships that I had, I don't regret any one of them. There's been ones that I learned great things at. There's been ones I didn't learn too much from, right? But at the end of the day, I think we were talking about this earlier as well. I always look at these opportunities of what can I get out of it based off of my effort. Like, what am I going into and expecting of this? So I keep my expectations low and I keep my intention high. Right. So I go in here and I'm intentionally trying to get the most out of this program. I'm not depending on the mentor to just, hey, I paid you 10,000, now make me an instant millionaire. Well, I know that that's not how it works, right? That's not reality. Like when I bought into my credit mentorship, I had some naysayers and stuff like that. And they're like, hey, why would you do that? Like, what if it doesn't work? But I'm saying, well, what if it does?
Right.
Right. What if this does? And what if this changed the trajectory of my entire family, how they think of credit, how they view credit, how they leverage credit, and teaching those tangible skills that I would have otherwise had to just go out and do all the research, that my kids would have had to go do the research. Now I'm just buying back my time by paying a guy that's already mastered it, that already has all the systems down, that has all the websites, all the little cheat codes, right? And all the insider relationships already built. And now I can just tap into his community, tap into his network. Right. And that's why you want to surround yourself with people that are doing things at a higher level than you, that are inspiring you and that are motivating you, because there's not too much more that you can learn from someone that's not in that position. We want to learn from people that have already done it. It's a proven system. I've seen this mentor do 100 real estate deals. Do I think he can execute? Absolutely. So let me pay for that. So yeah, I just want to hammer home, make sure that you are taking advice from people that have actually done it, right? That have been successful doing it. Ask for proof, follow them for a little bit, do your due diligence, right? Don't just jump into bed with any kind of mentor. But also in that same regard, don't be sitting around on the sidelines waiting too long, because you may miss an opportunity. And the thing about business that a lot of people don't understand is that there's seasons in business, right? And the seasonality changes ever so quickly. Your ability to adapt and pivot is huge, because what's working in 2024, the same mentor could be given way different advice in 2025. And it's not that they didn't know what they were talking about. It's that they're pivoting now. Probably 7 years ago, right? Airbnb was on fire, right? Then we had COVID.
Yes.
It kind of slowed it down for a second and then it re-erupted. Now what are we seeing? Now we're seeing a decline because everybody rushed to it. And now there's so many regulations and everything like that, because now the market is very saturated. Not saying that it still is not a good business model, but all I'm saying is it's not as good as it was. What you could have got away with on an Airbnb 5 years ago, there's no way in heck that you're going to be fully booked at today. I know you can attest to that because you manage many Airbnbs and have been in it for a while. So there's going to be risk in business, right? And that's just part of it, because on the other side of fear is success. Just like you were saying on your video on Facebook that I had seen, that you were sweating a little bit after that big purchase, but it was a purchase that you knew that you needed to make for the business. So you didn't let the fear cripple you. You didn't let the fear hold you back.
Yeah.
You realized there was a problem in the business, that there are certain things that you just weren't great at and you didn't know how to do it.
Yeah. And I even thought to myself too, and this goes into a lot of part of how I kind of think and operate in the businesses. I perform better and I can do better when my back is up against the wall. So in my mind, it's like, all right, I always think of it like, and I may have used this term before, but Growing up, I saved my money at 14 and I bought my first car. My 1994 Honda Accord with 100-some thousand miles on it. Right? But I paid cash for it. I bought it. My parents didn't help me, none of that. And I treated that car so good. People are like, why do you keep vacuuming it? Why are you going to the car wash every week? I'm like, you give it more time, care when you've invested money into it. Things that are free, people don't appreciate it. And not only that, but when you invest in yourself, 6,800, is that a lot of money? Kinda. Is it? To some people it's a lot, right? Some people, they'd be like, whoa. For
Right.
us, it's like, is the value that the guy is going to give to the company and his coaching and mentorship and all that stuff worth $6,800? Absolutely. Even
Right.
if even if he doesn't bring me any money in, what he's the systems and processes and getting my books clean and figuring out 100% how to bid jobs based on having all this other stuff set up, it's totally worth
Yep.
it. And then in my mind, it's like, all right, let's get to work. Like we just spent $6,800.
Right.
you
It's
know,
time to
yeah,
get to business.
right. And I said to Justin too, like it was an easy decision. Like I didn't have one objection. As soon as I heard the price, I'm like, let's go. And I said to Justin, because the guy stepped away at some time, and I said, we've spent more on less that had absolutely no chance to make us better in any single way. Like it's a no brainer,
Yep.
And I said to the guy, I was like, I thought you were going to say $20,000. And he goes, well, it used to be 10, but we get a lot of single moms that come through here. A lot of single moms start cleaning businesses. And I was like, oh, I love that. I said, I was a single mom at some point. Go us single moms. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, how he broke it down, like I was actually writing money down next to everything he was breaking down. Like, oh man, this is gonna be a big bill. It's on my
Yeah.
paper.
If I understand correctly, it's like an all-in service, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Yeah, because he was
Nice.
saying like there's three things to run any business, and these are the three things you need. There's obviously tiers under the three things, but yeah.
Yep. And that brings me to another point here is that one of my mentors, as of recently, we were having a conversation in a meeting about the ROR, right? And it was just kind of what you were just saying about the value that this guy provides compared to the money that you're going to spend on hiring him. And right. And it's the ROR, identifying that, right? The return on relationship. So what is the return that your business is going to get by nurturing this relationship, by building this relationship, by working with this guy and his team? Because now not only are you hiring him, but you're hiring his team, right? I'm sure he's delegated a lot of the tedious tasks, right? And he's going to be more for the coaching side of things.
Yep.
And his team is going to handle all the tedious stuff, right?
And this from being in your mentorships, the community. So you're going to be around other like-minded people that are doing what you're doing. And when you're going through the coaching and the mentorship, you're hearing where people that are probably ahead of you that are a little further, their problems in a situation that they're going through. And you can be like, oh, that's our next phase. Like, hopefully we can, from this call, listening to them, avoid it and do something different so we don't end up with that same error.
And I love that you brought that up because I literally bought, so my sub 2 mentorship with Pace Morby, I bought that strictly for the networking.
Yeah.
Like the education, everything is great. And Pace is amazing. He's one of the best mentors I ever had. He's such a go-giver, always giving back. And I love him for that. But I really bought into the mentorship because of the community, because now I instantly had access to over 10,000 people in the same industry that I'm looking to be successful in. So now I instantly had access to private money lenders, property management companies, realtors, investors, business buyers, like all these different people that would be involved in real estate deals and stuff like that are now found instantly in this Rolodex because you just paid to be a part of their community, to be a part of their network, so it is huge.
Yeah.
And I've gotten so much value out of that and made so much money from that mentorship alone. I mean, it was worth, I paid for that thing probably, 25 times already.
Yeah.
But it's, again, it's what you get, what you go into it expecting out of it, right? If you just go in and just think that it's going to be, oh, he's just going to break it all down, he's going to do all the work for me. No, dude, there is nothing out here worth getting that's going to be super easy, right? There's not one thing. So get that out of your head. Like, business can be simple, but it's not easy. It's a grind. It's something you have to do when you don't feel like it, and when everybody else is clocking out, you're still clocking in, right? And you're either learning or you're implementing or you're working on something, or, it doesn't, the work never stops. But it's about the freedom that it provides. And I know me and you both really love the freedom that it provides for us, especially when it comes to our children, right? We don't miss any sports things. We don't miss any activities or like parent teacher conferences or any kind of events with our children, because we bought and took the risk on buying businesses and starting businesses, growing businesses that would allow us to have that flexibility in our schedule. So, I
Yes.
mean, right now, my partner in my fence business, he's been gone half the month already. Well, he will be at the end of this month. He'll be gone half of the month, touring around the country, going to all these different college campuses with his son, because his son is getting looked at by a bunch of college sports programs. And if he was in a W-2, he would have been fired. So just imagine that your son is getting all these opportunities, and on one side you're a W-2 employee. Is your boss going to give you 14 out of 30 days off? Not a chance, unless you use all your vacation time and then you can't even get sick the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Versus, hey, on the self-employed side, he can go and do that, and the business is still running, right? The business is still making money. He's still going to be getting paid, all these things, and he still gets to enjoy and not be stressing the whole time, like, oh my God, am I going to have a job when I get back? So that's the
And
level of freedom that we're looking for.
I want to touch on that. And because he's not wearing all the hats, he's probably fully focused on that situation. He's not dealing with a bunch of other stuff because people are in the right spots that they need to be. Am correct, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's just out there being able to be present and enjoy the process. And that's what I keep telling him every time, because we talk every day, but
Yeah.
that's what I tell him. Hey, enjoy it, soak it up. That's, there's a lot of people that'll never ever get this opportunity, so soak it up and enjoy it, and, take advantage of it, because you just never know
Right. Yeah. I love that
when
you
you may
point.
get that opportunity again.
Right. Yeah. I mean, some things just don't come around twice, And I think that's so cool. And then because you guys have delegated and put the right people, that it's smooth. Like the business isn't going. You're not. Neither one of you are bottlenecked, right? You guys can be gone and
Yeah.
it still keeps going. So super powerful.
Yep. Like when I was on the cruise, business kept going. Now, although I snuck it in there because I'm a little crazy and I just like doing stuff like that, but I didn't have to. And the team already knew, don't bother him. He's on a cruise. Just like all our team knew he was going to be at these sports things. Don't bother him. He's trying to be there with his son. So just being able to have a team that not only can handle those tasks, but also respects your time and what you're doing enough to, kind of leave you alone unless it's emergency. So yeah, I mean, I can't speak about it and the benefits of it enough.
Right.
And when you read the book, it really breaks down that idea that, success is not just about knowing everything, right? It's about building a team of the right who's. I mean, just like Elon Musk, right? They asked him, hey, do you have a college degree? No, he does not. But he said, I hired a bunch of people with master's degrees. So could he have built SpaceX and all this shit, if it was just him? Heck no, right? How many years would it took to him to acquire all this knowledge? Instead, he just raised the money to be able to hire all the geniuses that know how to do it, and they're doing the work.
Yes.
He's not in there putting anything together. He's bringing his ideas, right? He's being the visionary, and he's hiring integrators to do all the work. He's hiring people that are smarter than him. And that's what I think a lot of people in business, they're scared to hire people better and smarter than them. And that's what you should be rushing to, not
Yes.
running away from. You should want to hire everybody that can elevate your business and do things way better than you in your business, right? Because that's how you get maximum growth, and that's how you get freedom.
Yep. No, that's another thing that I think you've taught me that a long time ago. I remember there was a staff member that was like, hey, wanted to give me advice, but she kind of felt weird. I was like, hey, you are retired from owning a cleaning business. Like, you've done this. She was in her 60s. She had a cleaning business. Like, you've done this. Tell me. Like, I'm not offended at all that, because she's like, well, I know you're my boss. I'm like, I'm not your boss. I'm your leader, but we're a team. Like, I will take your advice. You've done this. Don't feel any bit of weird if you know that there's a better way to do it.
Right. And your job as an entrepreneur isn't to do everything, right? It's to build a system of who's that can help you execute that vision. And that's why on the cash flow quadrant, employee, and then you got your self-employed, and then you got your business owner, and then you got an investor. The two different sides of the spectrum. How do you get to the left to the right is the biggest difference, right? Because a lot of people get it mixed up as self-employed and business owner are two different things. Okay. Self-employed just means you own a job It may be a high paying job, right? But you still own the job. You're still working in the business. Business owner means you own it, right? So, and how can you own the business if you're in the business, right?
Right.
If you are the business only exists up here, right? If that's the file cabinet that you have for this business, well, then guess what? You step out, you get sick, you have to go deal with a medical emergency or anything like that. The entire business goes to crap. So that's why it's so important to hire these other people, because then anything that happens in your life, the business keeps going, the money keeps coming in. Because, I mean, God forbid something happened to one of your children. If you're the only one doing all the work and you had to go be at the hospital with them all the time, now your business fails. Now, if you had the systems in place and you had the personnel in place because you were delegating and you were finding the who, not the how, and kept delegating those tasks out, you could be at the hospital still getting paid. The business is still running on autopilot, and you're just calling it a check in. So that's why I always encourage everybody to become an entrepreneur. Plus, there's no tax benefits for W-2 employees.
Right. Yeah, I remember when Amir was in the hospital, we were kind of just getting going. There was staff though, and I had a partner, so that helped. But even then, it wasn't the right who on my team, so I couldn't 100% focus. I was there, right? But because I had the wrong people and the wrong systems and processes. I mean, I've been through that, so I can totally testify to that. It's important.
Oh, yeah. Yep. And in that book, they also talk about the 4 C's of transformation. So the first C is commitment. Decide you're going to grow, not that you want to grow or that you might grow. I'm committed to growth. That growth mindset. And that brings me on to your second one is courage. Okay. So I know this may sound very surface level, but honestly, you just have to be able to step into something that's uncomfortable, like investing in help, not being scared to admit, hey, I don't have all the answers, and hiring somebody that does. And that doesn't mean you have to hire them in your business, but you can hire them to help you work on your business, just like a coach or a mentor. Hire a mentor because it's a more of a temporary relationship where you can get the information fast and then you can immediately implement it, right? Because money likes speed. So the faster you can get the information, the faster you can apply it, the faster you can start to get paid. So, but you have to have the courage to do it.
Yes.
If you would imagine how long it would have took you if you just watched YouTube videos all day long, every single day, and just try to learn it on yourself.
I can't. I got 4 kids running around here. I probably am going to feel like, why didn't I do this sooner? And the other thing I want to
Exactly.
point out as we're kind of talking about this is just because you hand someone some money, if you don't fully, and I've been there, I took a course one time that I didn't fully utilize it. It ended up working out in my favor. I think because I'm still just a hustler and I have certain skills that get me by, and I am truly lucky and blessed sometimes. If you don't fully, just handing someone money doesn't mean, hey, it's going to work. It's how intentional are you with the training? How intentional are you with the information? It's kind of like when you said to me a while ago is, cool, you read 100 books. What'd you learn? Take the book, take the pieces of information, digest it, utilize it, then come back and then move forward. We had the mindset meeting this morning with one of the coaches, and she's like, stop after these videos. One, because if you keep going too much, you'll be confused. And then you'll be like, you know what, this is too much. Like, I don't want to do it. But
Right.
yeah, just being intentional with training, just like you would in the gym, you would train to be in the gym. If you want to get good grades, you will study. You'll be intentional. Same thing with this stuff.
Yeah. It's funny that you brought that up too, is because me and my mentor, we were laughing when we were in Dallas because we were comparing our audibles, and we just started laughing because half of his books were only half read or a quarter written. A quarter of them were read, and the same with me, right? Because we listened to a little bit of the Audible book, and then as soon as we find out that little nugget that we needed, now we go implement. And now it brings us to another book because the problem that we needed was not in that book, the
That's
first book that we read.
crazy
Yeah. So
because
it's like,
the buy back your time one, I got what I needed out of the very beginning. Like, I need to buy back my time. That's what I'm focusing on right now. Now, how do I buy it back? I'm going to hire these people to do it for me. That's
exactly.
hilarious. Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
I
So
love
we
that.
were cracking up about it because it was just, we're on the same wavelength. It's just like, you need to be reading with attention, just like you said. Like if you're just reading 100 books to read 100 books, well, cool, you did the challenge, but how did that move your business forward? How did that help your life in any way? Because a lot of times when you're racing through that, you're just trying to finish this book. Well, now you're doing it with the wrong intent, because everything we do has an intent. You either intentionally did not plan ahead or you intentionally did, right? So when you're reading this book and reading this chapter, are you reading it with an intent to finish the chapter or to get all the lessons and teachings out of this chapter? Now, when you're reading with a purpose, the chapters hit different, right? And I read all my audibles are on like 175, 2, depending on how slow the the narrator goes. But I like to read it fast, like hear it fast, and then once I hear like a gem or something like that, I slow it down and I go back down to 1 speed and I really take in what they're doing. Now I'm taking notes, now I'm highlighting sections, now I'm screenshotting stuff, so that now I could take this back into my research and like, all right, perfect, now I need to do a little bit more of this. Boom, our next meeting, we're talking about this. Right? It's not, I'm not getting caught up in the book and saying, all right, well, cool, I learned this. Well, now let me go and learn 5 other things. Well, because you don't want to be having your team, when you start learning these new things and these new habits, right? You don't want to take your team back and just be like drinking from a fire hose, right? And you just like, here, I just learned 30 different things. We're going to implement these all this week. Let's go. They're going to be, holy moly, it's so much. So you learn that one thing, implement it. Now we're tracking that data. That book is going to teach you so many things. So imagine if you were to learn 20 things at once. Number one, you're probably going to forget the first 5 that you learned unless you were taking good notes. So then you're only going to have the last few of it. So then pretty much you just wasted your time reading the first couple chapters because you don't remember what you read anyway.
Yeah.
So just read to solve the problem. So that's what I always do. Hey, if I got a problem, I'll talk to my mentor. Hey, perfect. Have you read this book? Nope. Grabbing it now. Like before we're off the call, I'm downloading on Audible and going right on Amazon and buying the hard copy, because I like to do both. I like to read with my eyes and listen with my ears at the same time, because now I'm taking in 2 different ways. So now I'm making sure that I retain this knowledge. And then I go teach my kids, my team, because once you're able to teach, you have full clarity of how to do the said task or the certain thing that you were learning to figure out. So I
It's
just want to
funny.
really kind of hammer that home, because it's huge. So many people waste so many time reading books and don't do anything with it. They just close the book and that was the accomplishment. But it did nothing for you or your business. You just got it, a completed book.
You're able to post it on social media that you read this book and now you're reading the next one.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
And that's why so many people are in a hurry to get right to the next book.
Yeah. Remember when you were telling me that before too, when I read you my books, you're like, you're reading the wrong books. Why are you
Yep.
reading those? I'm like, what do you mean I'm reading the wrong books? And
Yep.
it's funny you say, because as soon as you mentioned that book earlier, I went to go grab my phone. Well, I'm recording on my phone. Otherwise, I'd have been bought that book. When you say
Right.
something, I'm going to get it.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's huge, because you're not scared to implement. And that's why I like working with you, and that's why I like giving you advice, is because you're going to go out and do it. And then what are you going to do? You're going to come back with me with feedback. Hey, I tried that thing you did. This is how it went. This is what I liked about it. This is what I didn't. And now we're able to pivot and give you better advice built off of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Yes,
I
for
love it.
sure. Sometimes I wonder if it does kind of kick me in the butt, the impulse, and not that I call it impulse, but I don't really think it's impulse. It's just sometimes I move with no fear and I'm just like, let's go. What do I need to do? Tell me what I need to do and I'm going.
I think the part of it is that you have that confidence because of all the people that you got in your life that are there to pour into you and that are doing those. Now, if it was just you out here and you never did it and had nobody to bounce ideas off or anything like that, it would be definitely a lot scarier. But I think that you have such a good circle around you, a good support system, that you feel confident that,
And so when things get hard and you don't want to do it anymore, you don't have the vision of, okay, well, this is where I want to be, this is where I want to go. And sometimes if you can't see your future self, it almost seems kind of unrealistic. There was a thing I learned, and maybe we talked about this on the lives, but where the guy, I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but he has people go put their photo in the ager where it makes them like older.
oh yeah,
And then he has a purifier that they put money in front of. So when you're sitting there, you're looking at your future self, you're smelling money in your air, and then there's a screen of everything you want. And it's just constantly like, so you can like picture and imagine it. Like there's me and I'm old, I am going to be here when I'm older, my future self. Here's where I'm at, here's where I'm living. And then you're just smelling money.
I love the smell of money.
Not the smell of money.
Love it. It's my favorite scent. Fresh blue faces. Yeah.
Yes.
But getting back into those 4 C's though, real quick, I just wanted to retouch on those. Commitment, number one, courage, number two. The third one is capability. So you're gonna either have to develop new skills or perspectives, or hire the people that do have those, have the capabilities to do those things at an expert level, right? So either you hire the mentor to enhance your skill set, or you hire and delegate people within your business that could do the job more efficiently and more better than you. And then the last one is confidence. Okay. Because without confidence, you're not going to be able to get through any of these steps, right? Because it is bold, right? Becoming a business owner and taking that leap of faith and leaving your W-2. The worst thing that can happen is you go back to right where you're at right now.
Yeah. No, literally, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
I mean, I know I can't go get a high paying job. I don't know. Who knows? I don't have a education of any bit, but yeah, I mean, what's the worst case? You just go get a job. What you're
Right.
doing right now, just do it. You won't
Just go
regret
do
it.
it. You got this.
Yeah.
You
That's
got
my
this.
advice. Just go do it.
Right. Oh yeah. I did want to share one of my favorite quotes from that book, and it's your future self is depending on the investments that your current self is too scared to make.
Mm.
So I want to read that again just in case you didn't get it. Your future self is depending on the investments your current self is too scared to make. Once I started making a little bit of money, I got scared, and I think that's the most dangerous place to be, is better than you were, but not quite where you want to be. I think it's the most dangerous place that entrepreneur or any successful person can be, because you start to get comfortable and complacent. And now you're just coasting. Just like a mentor told me, he said, you can't coast uphill. The only way to coast is down, right? So that's not something you want to be doing. So we need to hire the people that can kind of put that gaslight underneath us and to ignite that self-belief and that confidence in us so that we could take that step, because that's really what it comes down to. We're just not motivated enough. The motivation isn't strong enough. But had it been, we would have done it. So
Yeah.
we got to do that same for ourselves and our businesses.
And I think even thinking of future self plays more also in not even just in business, but in anything. You know, like, do you respect your future self enough to make these hard decisions? You know, like, or would you rather it be kind of easy now but hard later? It kind of goes back to even when you're thinking of your health. That's how I quit smoking. I thought to myself, my future self, when I'm 60, do I want to be struggling breathing on oxygen? And, you know, I still want to be hot when I'm 60. Okay.
Right.
So thinking of my future self, I know I want to be around for a long time. So not only that in business, but also, and I think as you go on the entrepreneur journey too, it's like a whole different, I don't want to say persona or identity, really. You start changing a lot of things about yourself, and the people that you're around will help with that. Your mentors will get you in the right mindset, will have you looking at things differently. Like just this morning, we had that conversation, and you're like, wow, your mindset is like totally shifted on this. Like, whoa,
Yeah.
we're making
I loved
progress
it.
here.
Yeah. I loved it.
Yeah.
And it was probably something that you weren't even conscious of.
No.
But your mindset had changed so much, and I've seen the growth from when we originally started talking. The mindset was flawless today.
Yeah.
Exactly what you're talking about was exactly what you needed, and I think that's the benefit of having people like me and other people that are in your corner that you trust their opinions, is that sometimes, even though we know the answer,
Yeah.
sometimes we just need that little extra reassurance. Really goes a long way. So if you don't have anybody that you trust that opinion, that is not just a yes man, because there's probably plenty of things that I've told you and gave you advice on here that's like, well, I don't know about that, or I ain't feeling that, or I don't know
Yeah.
if that'll work, right?
Not
But you
much.
did it.
Usually it's
Right.
pretty solid.
Right.
But it's funny though, because as I was saying, it was in my brain, but no, I didn't even like think of it. And I'm like spitting it out to you, and I'm like, right? Or am I like thinking of this wrong? And you're like, you're thinking of it exactly how you should think of it. I'm like,
Exactly.
but I didn't even think of it like that. You know what I mean? You had to say it for it to be like,
Right.
So,
You were thinking about it, but didn't realize that was that correlation there to that mindset
yes.
training that you've been doing,
Yeah.
and so shout outs to you, because you're growing and you're getting better. And that's how I got to where I'm at. I was always pretty smart, right? But
Yeah.
I didn't know shit about business, at least any kind of legal kind.
Right.
But I had to invest in that, and that was one thing that I really started obsessing about, is just that I don't know the answers, and I'm okay with that. But I'm not okay with just sitting around and just accepting it, right? So I've acknowledged I don't have all the answers. So now what my goal is and my job is my family counts on me to get the answers. hey, these bills need to get paid. This lifestyle needs to be kept up with. And this generational wealth doesn't just stop with me. I wanted to live far longer than myself. So if I just sit around and wait till I have all the answers, shit, I'll be dead by then.
Yep.
So, and if you can't afford a mentor, I know some people around here like, what, 10, 20, 30 grand? You guys are nuts. How the hell can you afford that? There's no way. I don't even have $1,500 in my bank account. Well, then what I would tell you to do is go online, find all the meetups, right? There's a lot of free meetups in niches that you may be in, whether it's cleaning, whether it's entrepreneurial, whether it's real estate, right? There's a bunch of meetups. Look for those meetups and attend as many free ones as you can. Because what you're going to do is you're going to find somebody in those groups that, again, the proximity is power, right? So getting around a whole bunch of people that have the same goal, the same trajectory is going to help, because now you can leverage some of theirs. So not even having a mentor, but also just having that network of people that are on the same path as you that can help, because they may be on step 5 when you're on step 0. So maybe they're not on a mentor status, but they've already kind of, stumbled a little bit and fell and got back up in the business, and they can reach back and tell you, hey, look out for this, or hey, I use this company, or hey, stay away from this, or hey, I got great results with this, right? So being able to bounce those ideas back and forth off of people in the same network is huge. And so even if you can't afford a mentor, get into those small coaching programs, get into any kind of like workshops or anything like that. It doesn't necessarily have to be a full-on mentorship, right? And there's like little courses that you can buy, even just starting somewhere. I always look for courses or mentorships that come with community, because number one, that's proof of concept that it's working, because thousands and thousands of people are in it. And number two is, not only are you buying the education, not only are you buying the mentorship, but again, you're getting to it, inherit all the network and all the relationships that are associated with that mentorship. So that is huge. So when you're looking for something, that's some things to kind of keep in mind, because it could definitely help you go even farther and really maximize that ROR.
For sure. And you said a few things I wanted to kind of comment on. Fernando heard me on the call today, and he said, what's this call for? And then he heard the money that got spent. He's like, why'd you do that? And I'm like, well, because Fernando, I can only take the business so far. I can only grow it so big because I only know so much. I need to pay for this because I want this business to be around a lot longer than I'm around. Or I want to be able to sell it, the business, take the money and do whatever. But that was one thing. And then the other thing that you mentioned, if you don't have the money, sometimes you can find a business consultant that will come in on a percentage of your company. I'm pretty sure that's a business model you do, correct?
Yep. Yeah, it's called a consultation for equity.
You put in the sweat equity. The person that has no money will put in your sweat equity. And then the guy with the money that's able, and the information and the knowledge, will also teach you that and kind of guide you. But you're going to put in the sweat equity, and he'll put in the other part of it.
Yeah. And it's JVing is the fastest and easiest way that I always recommend anybody to get into real estate. Because what you do is you partner up with someone that's done real estate, and you go do all the work for them. Because if you don't know the answers, what do they have to do? They have to teach you how to do it, correct? And then they're going to be teaching you as you go through the process. So all you need to do is be able to find a deal and bring it to them, because now you provided value. Now, 2, they're going to walk you through it and give them most of the deal. Even if you give them 90% of the deal, say, hey, let's do a 90-10 split. Only thing I ask is that
teach me.
You just teach me all along the way. Teach me all the stuff, what papers I need to sign out, what do I need to look out for? Dude, you can get in a mentorship for free. Just don't be afraid to go
and
put
to
in
be
a little
paid.
extra work.
You're actually not getting in for free. You're going to make some money.
Right. But you could even do 100%. Hey, you get the full profit. Just teach me everything. And now it costs you nothing. It just costs you a little bit of time.
Yeah.
So there's no excuse not to get into it. There's no excuse to not get started. Right. That's just fear. So we just got to overcome that fear and realize, hey, I can do this. I will do this. And my family deserves this. And my future self will thank me for it. So, 3 actionable steps that I would challenge everybody moving forward on this podcast here is, number 1, stop asking, how can I figure this out? Okay. And start asking, who already knows? Who already knows how to figure this out? Who's already figured this out? Who's already figured this out and is doing it at scale? Okay. You find them, you invest in them, and you let them help you grow. Okay. You take everything that they're saying and you just do it. You blindly do it. Right? I see so many people get into the mentorships and still try to do it their way. Like, bro,
what the hell?
What the heck are you doing?
What
What
the
the
hell,
hell?
Jan?
Right. It's just,
I've saved your money.
right. It blows my mind.
Yeah.
But like, so the guy taught you how to do it and then you're still doing it your way.
Make it
I
make
don't get it.
sense. Yeah.
Exactly. And then it makes it harder for them to lead you after that because you didn't do what you told them to do. So when you're bringing it back, you're not bringing back the results that they would expect you to bring back based off of the information that they gave you.
The right data.
So,
The
yeah.
data's
So
off.
it's just,
Yeah.
yeah. So please take this to heart, everybody. And if you can, go buy that book. If you can't afford it, go to the library. If they ain't got it, they'll get it. So there's no excuse. The books you need are free. Okay. The coaching you need can be free. Okay. But it's something you need. And mentorship is something you need. Okay. Not just, well, I'll get around to it. Maybe one day I'll need it. No, the faster you can hire the mentor, the better, because you're shortening the learning curve. Why wait 3 years to hire a mentor? So say if your business is doing 100 grand and you waited three years and doing 100 grand every year, right? Sounds good to some people. Okay. But me, that wouldn't work at all, right? My overhead is over 100 grand a year. So that would never work. But say if I wanted to grow it, right? And I was just trying to be cheap, didn't want to hire anybody. So I was making 100,000, making 100,000, making 100,000. Well, if year one, as soon as I had enough money to get a mentor, if I hired them, imagine year two doing 300 and then the following year doing 600,000 because of that one move. So I always recommend get into the mentorships early as you can afford it, get into it. If you can't afford it, go be around people in the industry so you can get that free knowledge, so you can pick their brains, so you can be a resource, so you can provide value, and they're going to help you. So, if you want help finding the right who in your business journey, reach out to us, comment down below what niche you're looking for. And if we know someone that we trust and would be able to kind of pass that on, we got you. Okay. If you're looking for real estate, Pace Morby has a great one, sub 2, a little bit more expensive, but the community is phenomenal. And unlike a lot of mentorships that only last a small amount of time, this one is a lifetime mentorship unless you get kicked out because of bad business or anything like that or character issues. So
Yeah, and that's hard to find too. The lifetime.
oh yeah.
That's key. None of my mentorships that I have had or coaching or anything has been a lifetime. None.
Same here. Most of them are 1 year. That's it.
Yeah, I've had
We got
one that
clear
was
hand.
I had one that was a year, one that was 6 months, one that was 3 months. Yeah. So a lifetime mentorship
Lifetime.
was
And
nice.
he's consistently reinventing and re-adding and stuff like that. So I mean, that's my favorite mentorship by far. If you want to help get in a sub 2 or anything like that, let me know. I can help get you in. If not, no worries. But I've spent over it's about 60,000 now in mentorships, right? And some people might be like, damn, 60K? I would have never dreamed that I could do half of this stuff. But I had to find somebody that I could borrow some of their confidence. And that's what some of the mentors can help you do as well, because they could see the potential. And that's one thing that we have a great relationship. When you're thinking the wrong way, I've never been afraid to tell you the truth because I love you. I want you to win. I want you to succeed. And love don't lie.
Yeah.
So if I truly care about you and your success, I can't lie to you. I got to tell you the truth.
Yep. Hey, you've never hurt my feelings because I know it's coming from love. And I want to touch on also the mentorship is finding the right ones. I actually, that kind of got me thinking when you said that. I've had a few different ones, but I have also, I feel like, kind of made the mistake where I didn't learn the basics of businesses, right? Like, yes, we have Airbnbs and I had an Airbnb mentorship and a coach and built that up, right? Yes, I learned sales. Like that was really just learning sales. They didn't teach any business. It was just strictly sales. The Airbnb, I believe if I would have fully went through it in more intent, I was just excited. I got that little information I need and I ran. But if I would have did it a little different, they did set up a lot of the VAs and the assistants and things of that nature. They did do all that. I was like, I don't need that. I'm just going to run and do it. And then the one that I'm in now, yes, it's mostly cleaning. It's like specific to cleaning. So I think if I would have did it a little bit differently, kind of like what you're referring to, get into it earlier, figure out the basics. I mean, obviously sales training will take me in any business. The Airbnb, I was doing it before I even got into that coaching. So I don't know what the hell, Heliante, we were thinking there. That one we're still paying for, or the Airbnb business is still paying for that. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is like Matt recommended, get into it early. make sure you're doing it with intention and you're getting the right kind of coaching. I know even the other day you recommended someone for me for a mindset, or what was it again?
As a business coach, yep.
Yeah. But at the time, it just wasn't what like. I needed some of the stuff he was saying, but I need to get down to the nitty gritty in my niche. And then I can move to something like that. It's like that is,
Exactly.
and it just wasn't what I was looking for right then and there, but it doesn't mean it's not good. But that's what I'm trying to say is you'll have different seasons and you'll get different mentors and different coaches and different people in your life that'll teach you different things. So
100%. And that's why it's super important to be able to identify the problems in your business, because that's the ones you need to hire for. You hired an Airbnb mentor because you didn't know how to do Airbnb. So to get better at it, you hired that, right? Now, being that if you're using the service or not, it doesn't matter, because at that one point, that's what you needed in your Airbnb
yeah,
business. And then in the cleaning stuff, when you hired the cleaning mentor, that's what you needed for that business,
yeah,
right? So 100%, exactly what she's saying. Do not hire a mentor that you don't need, but you got to be able to be conscious about it, right? I had a real estate mentorship, right? That's the sub two one. Okay. Then I hired a mindset mentor because my stinking thinking, right? My mindset was jacked. So instead of trying to figure it out on my own and watch the right YouTube video and go to counseling and do all this shit, I just hired a mindset mentor that reframed my mindset to get me out of that scarcity mindset and plunge me right into a growth mindset, right? So I invested in the mindset mentor. Then I have a credit one, right? That teaching me how to get funding and credit and all that stuff, right? So every single problem that I have in my business, I hire a mentor to solve it. Then every new high income skill set that I would like to obtain, I hire a mentor to teach me it. So I'm not trying to learn nothing on my own anymore. I don't want to learn shit on my own. I want to go pay people for friendships to teach me the game. Just teach me how to do it and let me go do it. And then allow me the access to come back and ask questions after I did the thing that you told me to do. That's all I ask for the mentor. I don't expect nothing else.
yeah, and make
So
sure there's the accountability. Like that they're going to sit with you and go over certain things and regroup. Ours are biweekly. I thought they were monthly. They're biweekly with the mindset, then they're weekly with the different parts of it. But making sure you're staying on track.
yep.
But
And know that you have the upfront expectations, right? So making sure that your mentor is letting because there's different tiers to a lot of mentorships, right? If you get in a lower level tier because you can't afford it, well, hey, maybe you be in one Zoom call a week or a month, opposed to if you get the more higher priced tier of mentorship, right, and friendship. But now I got a little bit more unlimited access to them, right, and more frequently. So
yeah,
now you don't have to wait a month to get your questions answered. So make sure that you're identifying that as well and knowing that, hey, if you're going to be cheap with something, just know that it's going to delay your progress. So don't go on, well, hey, I just invested $1,000 with this guy and I only get one call a month. Well,
yeah,
because you were trying to be cheap. You got to invest. This person has spent years and years and years learning the hard way of what to do. They're not going to just give it to you for free. And anybody that tells you that is lying to you or is going to sell you something in the back of the room.
they're going to give you bits and pieces of it to,
Right. They're
you
going to give you
know,
enough to get your curiosity going. But I just want to let you guys know that understand what you're given and what you should be receiving, right? If you're only given a little bit of money, well, then expect a little bit of results. Just be honest with yourself. There's nothing wrong with being cheap as long as you understand what you're going to get for it. Don't be cheap and then expect world class and them just to unroll the golden ticket for you. Well, it's not going to happen like that. If you
they would,
want even faster results and even more handholding, we'll be expected to pay for it. But just know what your tolerance is. So just being
yeah,
realistic with yourself and what you have in your business, what your goals are, what you're trying to get out of it. Don't just go into here and just say, all right, mentor, tell me what I need to do. Well, what do you want to do? Well, I don't know. I just want to be successful. Well, then shit, you got some more work to do outside of this mentorship, because you need to identify exactly what your goal is, where you're trying to go, how you're trying to get there, and what you're willing to give up. And that's another
absolutely.
hack too. If you're looking to change your life and do better things and to really change who you are and how you operate, not only write down what your goals are, but right next to it, write down what you're willing to sacrifice to get those goals.
And the
Okay, so if you want a
traits
six pack, what are you willing to give up for it? What is
and
the
what,
sacrifice? Because with every new challenge comes a new sacrifice. So
and what traits does that person have? What are your values, your core values, the traits that you're that person instills in them. All
Awesome. Well,
right.
I know we threw a lot at you guys, and I know we really kind of dove into the book and our own experiences, our own mentorship stuff. And I know we're going a little bit over time, so we're gonna have to wrap this up. But we just wanted to get on here. We just wanted to really go over all these things because just like we're transparent with you guys every single week, Mary Jean was literally just going through this thing.
Yeah.
So the stuff that we're talking about is stuff that we're either going through right now, we've been through, or we're about to go through. So
Yeah.
just know that all the advice that we're giving you is stuff that we're actually implementing. Just like she just pulled up that Uline book. We literally just talked about that last week's episode. She has a Uline book on her desk.
Yeah.
So, it's all about taking the action, learning, and implementation is huge, right? Because knowledge is power, but it's powerless without action, right? So you can know everything, but if you do nothing, you're going to get nothing. So just keep that in mind.
I like that. Well, guys, if you learned anything, if you feel that this was valuable, if you want us to keep kind of putting out content like that, drop something in the chat box down below. But we look forward to seeing you next week.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can't wait to get with you guys next week. I can't wait to answer your questions. So please, there's no dumb questions. Drop as many comments, questions, concerns. If you disagree with us, put that in the chat, right? We welcome it all. Okay.
Yes.
We're not scared of any of that stuff. We want to make sure that we're serving you guys correctly and being of value. So we're learning on here. We're learning more about each other. I mean, there's been so many podcasts that MJ will even hit me up. Hey, we were just talking about this. Hey, how do you do that? So there's so many things that you may not be thinking about that we can bring up in these episodes and really kind of help you in your journey. So we want everybody to win. We want everybody to succeed. So keep following along, keep asking questions, keep engaging, and we got you.
Yes. I'm laughing because I literally, what we went over last week, implemented this week and did all that stuff. It works. It just didn't work for me in that situation. Gosh dang it. I was mad. But
All right.
yeah. But anyway, guys, I have to run because I still haven't hired a lot of my stuff out, which is a struggle because I want to, but I need someone. I feel like I need them physically here in my area for some of the
You
stuff
need a
I do.
nanny.
Yeah, I need a nanny. I'm about to send one of the cleaners over here tomorrow because I'm done. But anyway, guys, we look forward to seeing you next week and peace out.
Peace.